Welcome to Blood in the Snow Radio, where we give you the latest news and interviews with the best in Canadian genre cinema. Here are your hosts, Robert Bellamy and Festival Director Kelly Michael Stewart.
Bits Radio is back on the air. I am co-host Rob Bellamy.
And I'm Kelly Michael Stewart.
And we are here with the people from the documentary
Nash the Slash Rises Again.
Yes. I'll get you to introduce yourself and your role in the project.
Hi, I'm Tim Kowalski. I'm the, co-writer, co-producer, director of this film. And on to Colin.
I'm Colin Brunton. I'm executive producer and co-writer.
Excellent.
Oh, I'm Kevan Byrne. I'm the editor and co-writer.
Perfect. Why this topic?
Why not? Look at the photos of Nash the Slash, and as soon as you see him, you think, who the hell is that guy, right? He's the perfect sort of amalgamation of rock and roll, comic books, horror, all rolled in mystique, wrapped in a bandage, and like he when you see him, it's just questions. And so, what a better way to start a film than like have a lot of questions.
No, absolutely. And this is a name I knew growing up because I heard the name around Toronto and heard the music, but did not know anything about this.
And he's hard to pigeonhole because, like, when people have asked me about the documentary, some people either really know, like, oh wow, and other people they don't know, but they're very intrigued. When I try and explain Nash the Slash to someone, I struggle because he does such experimental music, but then did pop stuff with FM, and it was just like, and then he had so many different movie soundtracks and like the composing like that. Like there's just so many different aspects to him. He was such a complex individual, and it's such a. I think that made for such an interesting documentary.
Yeah, it was, another big part of his appeal is the music he'd done. He was such a cutting edge artist, doing the one man band electronic thing since the 70s, when nobody else was doing it. And very against the grain, very un-Canadian in a Canadian market, right? Like everyone else was just wearing jeans and flannel and whatever, and here's this guy in this tuxedo and these bandages, and nobody knew what the hell he looked like. Nobody knew what the hell his music was about. It was just, like the perfect sort of combination that would capture my imagination when I was a kid. And he made a big impression on me, and I thought, this would make a great movie.
Which obviously it did, because this was fun watching it. Like with documentaries, once you get into them, they either captivate you or they start to lose you. And this one, from like the first few minutes, boom, it hooked me. And I guess that's about the editing. When you're looking at all this footage and all this story, how do you start to piece that together?
Yeah, it was pretty overwhelming, I have to say, because first of all, the number of source footage that we had to kind of review was like a tsunami.
And I kept finding Colin and I kept finding more stuff, and I'm sorry.
I would say to them, I'd say, stop, please.
It's like someone dropped that.
Don't send any more. I got enough.
They dropped a 10,000 piece puzzle in front of you and said, fix it.
Yeah, I mean, like collectively, we're starting to just sort of start to land on what are the key themes of the film. And so I would build out sequences for like each theme. And, if we had like 20 themes, obviously not all 20 are going to go in. You sort of prioritize those as you go through and see which of them have legs, which of them actually contribute to a unified story, because that's ultimately what you're trying to do, is to tell a story that holds together from beginning to end and has those important components of a story. But I have to say, because this film was 7 years in the making, and partly it was, due to COVID, we got slowed down a bit by that. We couldn't shoot, and and part of it was due to the fact that we just kept reviewing the footage and saying, you know what, maybe we're not leaning into this enough, and then Colin would bring stuff to the perspective, because we started the film before Colin joined. And when Colin came in, he was like, knew Nash personally, and also had a lot more backstory than we, had up to that point. So, again, it was like, okay, now we're going to sort of interleave, Colin's perspective and some of the key themes that he's leading into that gave us fresh perspective. But it was a beast. Yeah.
And that's the thing with a documentary too, is you can start with a story idea. But once you start, like you said, getting the footage and getting the information, the story takes you into a totally different area. So that's what I thought was amazing about the way this was pieced together. Now,
There's also a really boring aspect to that, which is on top of all that, of all the endless choices to make, then it was like, oh, wait a minute, can we actually get the rights to do this? And so one of those problems was, well, wait a minute, this is tricky because this story goes back 50 years. They didn't digitize contracts. TV stations, they would throw footage away. Some footage, it took us years to find out who really owned it. So, I remember seeing this thing, a woman wearing a T-shirt that said, yeah, I'm still making my effing documentary. Yeah. And I thought, well, we really should get some of those printed up for this because I got so tired of people, hey, how come you don't just finish it? And it's like, well, there's this. And then also there's we need tens of thousands of dollars. So yeah, it was a trip, just making the film.
Yeah. And it was, also just the element of this, because we're leaning into certain angles on the story and the certain through lines, that also open up different things like, oh, well, maybe we should get this song to support this scene, and maybe this footage is more important than that footage, and then so we might spend months trying to find one thing, and then it's like, no, let's forget about that, let's go after this footage of Yonge Street in 1981 or something instead.
That
Yeah, and then there's the thing where you kind of over-index on a scene, and you're kind of full in there, and then I'll send it to these guys, and they'd be like, maybe we don't need to overemphasize that point as much, but you kind of go into your own rabbit hole, and they would go into their own rabbit holes, and they would send me notes saying, hey, I think we should really focus on his technical innovation, and that's something that came up later in the film. So we did this whole animated sequence,
Right.
we interviewed Cam Hawkins. We got him to describe his gear setup, the way everything connected together, all the pieces. And once we got that, it was a 3-minute sequence, and we were like, "Can we really dedicate 3 minutes of the film to this?" It was like, "No, we got to figure a way out around this."
What happened was we titled that sequence "How Did He Do It?" And it was just it was so technical, it would go over most viewers' heads.
It's really cool, though.
Yeah, it was really cool. But I thought, what? Maybe we should, instead of asking the question, "How did he do it?" ask, why did he do it? And then we could do something that's 30 seconds long and, answer it really to the point and still have that, the techie nerdy angle, but it's much more to the point.
Well, this sounds like there is so much footage and so much story. Is there thoughts of doing a follow-up?
Over my dead body.
Yeah. I don't know. I think we told the story. Yeah. I mean, the movie is called Nash Rises Again, but I don't think he's going to rise again.
Yeah. But I love the documentary, of course, and I love that it revealed, but also he still remained an enigma at the end of it too, kind of like that too. You just revealed enough because people are so complex, and you just show different sides of different people and stuff like that. And what do you think Nash would think of the doc?
Boy, that's a good. I thought about that a lot, and he would definitely have an opinion. He would have a strong opinion. I could imagine talking to him. I could imagine watching the veins on his temples and neck ramping up and his face getting all red and him getting all excited and either really, really fucking angry or really excited and happy. There was never a middle ground with him. And I think he would like it because I think it's not a fan film. And it's also not a hatchet job. It's kind of like, I think it sounds so Canadian, but it's fair. Mm-hmm. So I think he would like it.
He wouldn't be upset there's no section on how he did things?
It's funny, like obviously he was so great at keeping secrets back in the day. On the other hand, we had to do a lot of social media, so I'd interact a lot with fans. And there's a guy in town called Mike Adaptive, and he talked about how generous Jeff was in trying to tell him, hey, this is how you should set up your pedals, and this is what you should do here with this. He was such a generous guy. On the other hand, the paradox to that was, it was hilarious that there was this crazy secret that we all kept for until the internet happened, right? That who this guy actually was, what he looked like, perpetuating a myth that it was really Anne Murray under the bandages. It was a riot. So he was a tsunami of different facets. I hope he would like it.
Was there any kind of, like you're saying, because with the internet and stuff like that, things are harder to keep secret. Like, was there any debate of not showing him under the bandages?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
We went back and forth on that a lot, and I was of the camp the less you see, the less you know, the more you'll be engaged. And I think we, earlier cuts, we did kind of have him exposed, and kind of just looking at it from a wide view. It's just like, it's like kind of takes the fun out of it a little bit, It's just like this is like kind of handed to us on a silver platter, this whole mystique angle. I think it would be more fitting if we kind of honored it for at least the majority of the film, right?
Well, it is called Nash the Slash Rises Again, so it's more about Nash than the alter ego.
Oh, but but we do go deep on his personality and his just him as a man, the Jeff side of him, right? And Kevan was instrumental. He brought out parts of his story, which I think just added so much emotional resonance and gave deep meaning to the film.
I will say though, I will say, Tim, I will admit this, right, and Colin, you were right about not revealing the bandages too early, because I was the one who was digging in, saying, no, we're going to start with this, right at the top, he's dead. We're going to show him who he was, and then we're going to go back from there, and. We sort of went back and forth on that, and Tim humored me for a while, and Colin, and then eventually they were like, we really got to we got to leave it to the end. We got to leave it till near the end, and they were right. It's a better film because of it. So I just want to acknowledge that.
Yeah,
it's funny, for all the filmmakers listening, there's a very tricky thing that you do when you do a film with no budget, and what it means is, the whole thing automatically becomes a democracy where everyone's got an equal say. And that can be good or it can be terrible.
Well, it's even harder in this situation because it's a documentary. If this was a fictional story, you have your storyline planned out.
Yeah.
This is all subjective.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you could go in many, many directions, but the things you got to kind of pick a lane and stick to it. So it was like, early days. It was like, which lane should we take?
Well, we haven't killed each other. I don't.
No.
We're all here. Like, we didn't kill each other or anything.
We're actually sitting in a room, not scowling at each other. It's not bad.
What I was going to say, though, is that like with documentary film, and this is so often the case, you go out and shoot and you get what you get. You ask certain questions. You go into the edit room and you're like, this is not the direction I thought we were going. And so we started off really like very green, sort of going into it like we think this is a really fascinating story. Like, Tim had some more experience. I had experience as a documentary film editor, and I'd been in television as an editor for a long time. But in terms of like telling a story from scratch that way, I think we had to keep going back to the well. We were like, you know what? We just, there's something interesting came out in that interview. We need to go back. We need to find this person. We need to find that person. We need to go back to the same person. And not only that, but we were like, we asked the wrong questions. We should have asked this.
Right.
But we didn't have a story, and the story came out in the edit. And as we were editing, and that's why it also took so long, because, like, I hate to use this stupid pun, but we've said it often. We kept unwrapping the bandages, and was like, is this what Batman looks like? Nope. Like, let's keep going.
Yeah.
So after 7 years, it's like, move over, Ken Burns. I'm ready.
Yeah.
What was the biggest revelation? Obviously we've learned so much more about him, kind of like that you didn't, like, because you're saying you have like a path and it goes in a different way. Was there something that was like, as a film, was something that stands out that?
Oh, well, I mean, there's some surprises in the film, but we were loath to kind of spoil the film.
Oh, of course.
No,
Yeah.
because, I mean, I know that this is going to go live probably after the premiere, but still, this might be listeners to this podcast who haven't seen the film yet.
Yeah,
and
good
this,
point. Yeah, we'll surprise everyone. Kind of,
so, so I don't know, you guys, do you think?
We cleared that with Anne Murray, right?
Anne Murray? No,
Sorry.
Was Anne Murray? Oh my!
She told us to fuck off and die.
Yeah. What do you think? Now that with this film coming out, and I guess there's the book too that's coming out. There's a photo book on Nash.
Oh, Paul Till, was Nash's main photographer from the 70s into, I don't know. He took photos probably right up into the 2000s.
Yeah, he started at the very beginning of Jeff's career taking photos. And then there's the book that Nash wrote that got redesigned and published in Britain. That's out. And also in March, there's going to be a tribute album of covers of different people doing covers of Nash songs produced by Friendly Rich, Toronto's Friendly Rich, which is the craziest collection of music you've heard. It's everything from straight ahead pop to punk to what the hell am I listening to?
Super avant-garde. It's the most eclectic collection of Nash themed tunes you'll hear anywhere. Yeah. So we're very excited about that, and it was all this happened organically.
Right.
None of these projects we have our thumb on at all. It was just people.
It was time.
Well, it was just time. It was just synergy, I guess.
Yeah, and I think also too is it was due for a revival or renaissance of his career like that, because it was pretty quiet for a long time and like that too. And I think now with this doc coming out and these other things, I think you're gonna see him get a lot more attention that he deserves that we haven't seen as much.
Yeah, well, it's kind of what we're hoping for.
Yeah,
because when we started this project, a lot of people were forgetting about Nash, and it was like he almost became like this fever dream for anybody who grew up in the 70s and the 80s. Did that actually happen? It's like, oh boy, did it ever, So we're glad to bring the fever dream back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Guys, congratulations on that film. That is a great watch. So, and hopefully good luck in the festivals.
Well, thank you. We're
Listen in safety.
Thank you very much, and yes,
Thanks so
listen
much.
in safety.
Join us next time for Blood in the Snow Radio. Bits Radio is a production of Three Evil Cats Productions in association with the Blood in the Snow Canadian Film Festival. For more information and to listen to other episodes, visit bloodinthesnow.ca and tweet us at BitsFilmFest. Music by Jen Gorman, produced and edited by Kelly Michael Stewart. I am Eduardo